Okay, I'm back. Something happened. But trying to push the plug in, and then when you're putting your hand back there, it pushes the white clip back on. So I tore that clip off because it's a plug. It's going to stay on. I mean, Ford don't even use a lot of that stuff. You could just about flip a plug off a coil pack on a Ford. So I'm not putting that back on. It's just going to be the plug, which looks like this. You see, it's a regular plug, and it did have the white clip that slid up, and this will plug that back down on there and stay. It ain't going nowhere. There's no reason to fight with that white clip like I did for like an hour. But I got a mirror and checked it out. Now that's the first hard part, is getting your hand back there. So what you want to do to help with that situation, and unfortunately you're going to tear a little bit of your felt up here if you ain't careful and whatever, the best thing to do, there's a PCV hose here that comes across, and it's going to be in your way, sitting right here. If you look on the back of this right here, there's a little thing you can pull out, and it'll just pop right up off of there, and you can move it out of your way. If not, then you can get your hand back in there. Once you get the clip off, your next thing is you got to have a deep well 27. I have a lot of tools to be a home mechanic, but every time I go to do a job, I figure out I don't have that one. That's why I got a lot of tools, because I had to go buy one every time I did something. 27. Then the problem is you got to have a deep well. Really need this is a half, really need a 3/8, because once you get the deep well, it starts getting close up to the firewall, and then you can't get a 1/2-inch ratchet with any kind of extension on it. And this, with the 1/2-inch ratchet, didn't fit. The extension made it too long, so luckily I did some reducing, upsizing. It made a pretty good, the exactly right size extension I needed. Best thing to do is get a 3/8 drive, and then you should be able to use an extension with a 3/8 ratchet and get in there good, and slide this down on there, and it's not in there tight. So there's the second issue. Third issue will be getting out this old filter. You don't have to replace it, but I can tell you need to. It's probably going to have some stuff in it, and this O-ring right here was already deteriorated. So the problem is, it's down in there, and you can't see it without a mirror. I'm gonna let my helper here hold the camera. So what I did, once you get your new one, which are on eBay or Amazon, they're maybe $10, get a bolt. Get your new one and figure out a bolt. I just had this one laying around. That'll get in there and pull it out. You want something, you don't want to use nothing too small and drop it down somewhere and can't find it, or God forbid down in the filter and can't get it out. But that's screwed down in there very nicely, and it's not in there too tight, especially when the O-ring was gone. And you pull that right up out of the back, then it's trash. So then you just do everything in reverse. Put this back in. Probably want to get somebody holding a flashlight and maybe even a mirror back there, which I'm not even going to try to video it because there's no way we can see. To get this back in, then your new one's already got a thread lock on it or whatever, and then get this back on, tighten down. I don't think it needs to be torqued. Maybe get it tight, and then maybe a half a turn should do it. And then put your plug back on it, and don't forget to put your the PCV hose back on, or you'll hear some sucking. And then put your plug in and back on, and then hopefully at that time you will have visible oil pressure back in the car versus not having it. Because I know I drove this thing for 5 hours back home after I bought it. I live in Georgia. Drove to the University of Mississippi and picked this thing up and drove it about 5 hours. So I know I had oil pressure. It's just that this sensor is just not that great. I mean, I've had plenty of cars with more miles and never had to replace one. So check eBay. There's the item number for that. This is just a oil pressure sender filter. If you type it in, Amazon, eBay, I don't think this has to be AC Delco. I mean, it's plastic. It looks just like the other one that came out, which I'm sure is the factory OEM one. There is no difference. Those were made at the same place. I mean, maybe a little different stamp on it. All right, Hope that helps get your oil pressure back going. If you know, this is going to take you, maybe go ahead and order the parts. Figuring out getting that white clip off, I would say just pull it off with a little flathead, get a mirror, and trash that thing. It is not necessary, I promise you. Had a 2002 Mustang. I've had several New Edge Mustangs, and the coil pack plugs will not even stay on the coil pack. And here GM's like, well, we're going to do a plug on top of a plug on top of a plug. This thing could be in a hurricane, end up back in another country, and this plug is still going to be on there. Not necessary. All right, guys, hope it helps. Have a good day.